Yo, what is going on? Welcome back to another video. This Trend Riding Lab. If you're new, make sure you like this, subscribe, keep us motivated, keep dropping this content every day. Let's get it. So just drop those likes because we are doing pretty decent, so we want to keep this up. So let's get into it. So we're predicting now Wednesday. Now let's go. So GBP USD, like I said, on the weekly chart, I was trading towards that trend line retest on the weekly chart, right? So as you can see today on the daily chart, we did get that drop that we were anticipating from yesterday's prediction, right? So as you can see on the daily chart, we did start to pull back. We moved down and we kind of had this rejection into this range, but didn't quite take out the support yet. So we still do have room to drop technically. But you know, for the short term, you know, we might start to pull back, right? So like I said, overall direction, I do think we want to drop towards that 3,000 support, right? On the daily chart, we did get that rejection candle. So bears are in control at the moment. Now, when we drop it to the 1 hourly chart, the story kind of tells a different story, right? So when we go into the hourly chart, one thing I do notice is we did get this sell off today from support. We did take out that neckline there at that 450 support that I was anticipating, you know, all week. So as you can see, sell liquidity is taken at that 450 support. And usually when I see something like this where we didn't really set up before that, it can technically be a bear trap. So Wednesday, I kind of am anticipating some sort of pump from this level. But you know, at the same time, we can technically drop to that 3,000 support. But looking at this right now, I do think that we are going to pump on Wednesday. So looking at the hourly chart, you know, like I said, all seller liquidity is basically taken from that support. So London session, I think that we might be able to pump. But, you know, that opportunity isn't really set up at the moment. So what I would do is pretty much just wait for New York session to kind of give it price action before we do anything, because technically we can drop to one of these levels, you know, trap bears and then start to squeeze up. But overall, I do think on the daily chart, I mean, you know, on the daily and hourly chart, I do think that we want to push up to this trend line from here, right? Because of that sell-off that happened overnight, right? So now when we drop down to the 5-minute chart, you know, we're just going to look at the price action. Like I said, on the 5-minute chart, we did start to drop yesterday. And if you look at the way that this thing dropped, it kind of dropped in a way that is kind of like a correction. So normally when I see something like this, we do technically get a squeeze. So I think that's what's going to happen. You know, like I said, nothing really is guaranteed. You just got to wait for price and then kind of react to what you see. I do like to trade New York session, so I will be waiting for New York session. Right, so if New York session comes around and price does happen to squeeze up, you know, I'm going to wait for price action somewhere over here to kind of make that decision. But overall, I am going to be looking for the opportunity to trade towards this trend line high, and possibly this thing can take out the highs overall on the daily chart, right? But then on Thursday, right after that pump, I do think that it's going to dump. So I do think we're going to get some sort of push up, and then Thursday's going to come, and then it's going to drop down to that level. Not that level, but you know what I'm talking about, that 3,000 level that we have pretty much been eyeing all week. I'm not sure if we have news tomorrow, but if FOMC is going on tomorrow, that is kind of a strong possibility that might happen. But like I said, overall direction, I do want to trade towards this trend line on the 5-minute chart, right? So, yeah, this is where all seller liquidity is, right? At that 450 support, we technically took out that level. So I do think that price can start to squeeze from here. All seller liquidity pretty much is below this trend line. So possibly we could probably get a bear trap somewhere over there, and then, you know, look for that squeeze once we pop back into value, right? So if, you know, London session comes around, I kind of missed that squeeze. London session comes around, I do miss that squeeze. We are going to look for price action somewhere over here to continue to trade up to that trend line and that high overall. And then, like I said, Thursday, we're possibly going to dump down. And then, and then we'll, kind of play it by day. And then Friday, once we get to that weekly trend line, like I said, I do possibly think that we could wick up from there. But, it's fucking Tuesday night, so, anything can kind of change going from here to there. But like I said, guys, I do think that from here, we are going to start to squeeze due to the seller liquidity being taken at that level. I do think we're going to trade towards that trend line overall, and we might even take out those highs. If we miss the squeeze, we're going to wait for price action somewhere over here and then trade towards that level. And then Thursday, if the dump sets up, we'll look to take that short and then kind of play it by day. If you guys got any questions, feel free, shoot me a DM, Instagram.com/Trend Riding Lab, or you could drop comments below. Make sure you like this, subscribe, so I continue to keep putting this content out every day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.